You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. It is episode 10 of the off season for us. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And we are getting closer every day. Training camps are going.
Hard Knocks is getting ready to go. August 6th. Can't fucking wait.
I have a fantasy football deadline on Sunday.
Hopefully I will too.
I got to cut to 10 players. I can cut to 1.
Well, I hope I can get in. At least I won't finish last then. I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm in bad shape. We'll have to see who comes available, but I've had a nice run of success. 2 seconds, a third, a fourth, 2 out of the playoffs in 6 years. But I'm looking at a disaster. And one of the players I originally intended to keep was, of course, Mr. Hernandez.
Well, he was in the news again.
Well, I think I'm going to offer him for trade. And, just insist that he's going to beat these charges before the start of the season.
I don't know how strong your league would be if somebody take you up on a trade. Do you have any guys that don't follow the league that much?
I think if you're alive, you follow the league that much. The funny thing was, and maybe neither would be good, but the year I bought his rookie year, that I got Hernandez, I wanted him or Gronkowski. And Gronkowski, the bidding went a little high. And so I settled for Hernandez at like $4. And it paid for 2 years. I gotta say that. But, who knows who's going to get suspended soon. It's a league of very short-term expectations for most players.
Well, nowadays, that's either Adderall or weed or I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, that's exactly it. Von Miller, who I really like, do you understand what's going on with his suspension?
Well, I've read enough stories on it. I think I have a handle on it, but this could be either his second positive test or his third or fourth, depending on what they caught him with the first time. And they never say. Well,
and they shouldn't. I mean, that's one of the better parts, in my opinion, of the confidentiality. The reason that was put in was if you get caught, you shouldn't be pilloried, right? You shouldn't be dragged across the coals. Say you have a cocaine habit. Everyone is going to try to hide the habit more if they are punished more with the release of information.
No, I don't need to know.
I kind of agree with the concept of that. But what it's turned into is everyone, and I'm looking at you, Seattle, everyone just says they're on Adderall, which is the most benign suspension out there.
And the league says nothing about it.
And they can't legally. Because they are committed to protecting the confidentiality of this. So the players are allowed to say they are suspended for whatever they choose.
But why can't they tell us how many times they've tested positive for something?
Well, if they're getting suspended, it's the second time.
Oh, it could no. If they catch you with weed, then they put you on a drug testing program. And it doesn't even count. And then it's like second or third strike, and then you get suspended. For a substance like that. Performance enhancing, yes. Second time, suspended for 4 games.
I thought it was any violation of the substance abuse program.
No, they have the varying level. Like for a narcotic, they try and put you into like a program. Like it's basically a program so that you get tested all the time. Then it's just random testing any time. You give up the right to only so many per year. So it's different for recreational drugs, so to say, or so they call them.
Frankly, it should be.
Yes, because it shouldn't. They're looking out for the welfare of the player.
Marijuana is not either heroin, methamphetamine, or massive doses of bull steroids.
No, but that's the rumor on Miller that I read, was that he was taking Molly and weed. And Molly's like a form of ecstasy, from how I understand it. It's a derivative of.
Well, I read amphetamines,
of MDMA.
and all ecstasy. It's all based on the same methamphetamine base, right?
It's like an MDMA.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, does he have a problem? Didn't seem to, but does MDMA amp you up? Is it like speed? Is that what it's going to do for you?
No.
Because that's considered a performance-enhancing drug.
It depends on the context. If you're taking it at a nightclub, ecstasy is one thing, but it still is a derivative of amphetamine.
Yeah, but Molly's different than
theoretically. Different than in what way? I mean,
well, I don't
we're
think
starting
it gives
to split
you the lovely,
hairs here. I think.
No, I don't think it's the same. It's not the same touchy-feely. Like, you know how amped up these guys get before games. Can you imagine if you added speed to the mix? Or something that
it would be the 1970s
speed?
in football, where everyone was on some form of amphetamine. Actually, you can go back to the mid-1950s in baseball and football.
Yeah, no, I know.
Everyone was rocking some kind of amphetamine.
Which is why I laugh when they say Hank Aaron and all those guys did it clean. They didn't. They had bowls of greenies. Yeah, in the training room or in the clubhouse. They'd grab them, pop them before the games.
Well, they had coffee. They called it high test and not. One was loaded full of amphetamine and one wasn't.
Well, and as drunk as most of them showed up to the ballpark, like I find it strange how we romanticize about what guys did in the 50s and 60s to their bodies, but now they're scuzzballs for doing the same thing. You get Gronkowski out partying, and it's on YouTube, and everybody hammers him. But Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, all these guys are glorified for being able to, he could go out and party all night and hit 3 homers the next day. We have to find some kind of common ground on covering this shit. Like I've said this before, and you have too, is that I could give 2 shits about it. It makes for a fun website, putting these stories up where they make themselves look like idiots. I think it's more embarrassing than anything. But everybody does it. Goes out and parties, does shit they regret when they're 23.
It's the nature of looking like an idiot. That's the amusing part. And for the most part, I don't think that the recreational use of relatively mild drugs is an issue. There's a Puritan nature here in the sport which ignores 90% of the population.
Well, but it doesn't even...
Can they perform athletically better than 99% of the population, they are simultaneously being held to a moral standard that most of the population is not held to. It's ridiculous.
Well, no, and it's the PR of the league. It's the league. The fans don't give a shit. The fans don't care. Do Patriot ratings, do their games, the ratings go down? That Aaron Hernandez was charged with murder? Doubt it. There's guys playing in the NFL that have committed manslaughter, drinking and driving accidents, all that. Nothing sticks because people don't care. Baseball is the perfect example of people not caring. They said, the steroid era almost destroyed baseball. Fucking ratings are still going up. And attendance and the money they're generating is going up. So what hurts these leagues? Nothing. There's not a thing anymore. We're so jaded. Well, not even jaded. We just don't care. I could give 2 shits if they test some guy for steroids. I just assume everybody's on it. And you have no disappointment. I watch it for entertainment.
Well, and you hit on exactly the right word here. It's entertainment. No one expects a top flight entertainer not to be partying. But if they still deliver a hilarious performance, no one's drug testing them.
No.
You know, the insurance companies are to a certain level, but that's mainly to ensure that their particular concoction of cocaine, heroin, and whatever else will not jeopardize financially the picture they're shooting. As soon as they're done shooting that picture, they could give a fuck.
No, and my wife and I went and saw Bill Maher last weekend. A large majority of his act focuses on weed and weed culture. We don't care. Nobody cares.
Well, that's so benign that it almost doesn't fit into the argument, except...
It does, because he's been doing it for 20 years.
Oh, I know, as it applies
and it's still
to
an illegal
NFL
drug.
players. They're the only people who are really castigated and destroyed for doing weed. I mean, go to any corporate office, and I bet you could find 70% of the people who occasionally are relaxed with weed.
Well, and not even just weed. But my point with Bill Maher and other entertainers is they can go on TV and say, yeah, I smoke weed. Or I was high when I did this. And there's nothing. It's not even a ripple. Could you imagine if Kobe Bryant went on TV and said, yeah, I was smoking weed after we won the title? Can you imagine what would happen? The sports world, Stephen A. Smith's head would explode on First Take on ESPN. Would fucking explode from it. The double standard we have between entertainers, which all athletes are entertainers. They're a product put on the field to entertain us, or the ice, or the hardwood, or the baseball diamond. It's all there just to entertain. I know it's a big business, but when Tiger's in the hunt, nobody gives a shit that he was stroking 20 fucking waitresses and porn stars. Nobody cares. We all tune in and watch. Why? Because we watch the performance. We could give two fucks what they do. As long as you're good and keep producing, we'll watch. If Aaron Hernandez came back, if he's found innocent of this, which I doubt from the evidence that's been leaked, which is all one-sided right now, so who knows what the hell is going to happen. If he comes back and somebody gives him a shot and he produces, they'll be buying his jerseys again. It's just how we are. It doesn't matter. And if the sports leagues would realize this, all these stories would go away. It's like it's all we talk about now. It's all that's in the news.
Well, it is. I mean, it's become the tabloid culture of sports where it's not about performance. It's, did Gronkowski injure himself through his admittedly somewhat embarrassing partying? No, he didn't. And he's a 23-year-old guy with
like
millions of
age.
dollars, and he's immature, and he's a bit of a buffoon.
He's not even immature. I don't think he's in. When I was 23,
whatever.
I was doing that shit too. If you'd have given me $7-8 million when I was 23, I'd be dead.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
But yet, the I don't even know if it's at the moral majority, or I think it's the media that drives it. I honestly do, because we don't care.
It gives them a story. People doing what people do doesn't sell anything. And I'm not even sure how this stuff actually sells. It just fills a voracious hole.
But it doesn't even sell
we're
anymore.
Guilty of it too, right?
I know. Oh, hey. I totally. But it doesn't sell. I don't talk about it just to get clicks. We talk about it because that's what we see in the media. Would I rather talk about the Titans linebacker that pulled a family out of a burning vehicle on his way to training camp? Yeah. But nobody's going to listen to it. Those aren't the stories out there. And the stuff doesn't even sell anymore, Marlon. It's not even a paper. It's a click on a fucking website. Yeah. And people read it because they're bored, or we've become so... I don't even know what the word is. We're so short. Our attention span is so short. We need the next story in 3 minutes.
I don't think it's even necessarily that.
It is. Well, Twitter.
This is our new theocracy. The ultra-rich, the ultra-successful. And there's nothing more that we like as peasants as to see these people fall.
But that's been forever.
There's a vindictive, yes, but it's just more immediate and more gloating, and there's more delight taken in the fall of these people from grace.
But is that that's our fault, though, because we click on it?
Absolutely. We're the peasants delighting in royal scandal. That's what we've become.
Well, no, but okay. So on the flip side of that, you have the royal baby.
You've got to build them up before you can bring them down.
No, but here's what drives me nuts. It's not even so much. There's not even reporting on stories that matter anymore. You have to hunt and peck to find reporting on actual issues. That's actual reporting. Most of the places do like our website, and it's just a gathering site. They just links, and they write a paragraph and include the source, and here's the original article, here's my 5-line take on it, and carry on to the next one because somebody else is going to do something stupid. But when our news in Calgary last night leads with the birth of the royal baby, when everybody knew about it 8 hours before, who the fuck cares? That's where we're at with news. It's like it's not even news. Like stuff that's consequential to the league or whatever, we're more interested in image and shit. And then when guys don't lie about it, like Tiger gets ripped, he was hiding it and people were covering for him and all this shit. Well, you know what? He shouldn't have to hide it because we shouldn't be fucking snooping that far up his ass.
Well, and as Kelly, my friend, said to me at one point, ultimately, and this was as it was happening, he's going, what's going on with Tiger is an issue between Tiger and his wife.
That's how I always thought about it. I just like watching him play golf.
Yeah. But it still is. We build these people up so we can destroy them. And there's a certain delight in seeing these people fall.
See, I don't take delight in it. I don't take delight in it. I like the funny stuff better. The stuff where you're dragging their kids into it and divorce and all that should be fucking off limits. It shouldn't even be reported on, stuff like that.
No, I agree with that.
If some guy's drunk, if Vince Young starts fighting at a nightclub,
yes, but I mean, here's the thing: the penalty for these athletes for getting high and doing an absurd interview is destruction. Like, the penalty is so out of whack with the offense. You might as well kill someone. Because if Hernandez failed 4 drug tests, it would be just as destructive to his career as this murder.
Yeah. Well, look at A-Rod. They're talking lifetime ban in baseball for PEDs. So you force these guys to lie. Well, who's not going to lie? They're all over Ryan Braun, and I knew he was guilty last year when he got caught, but he got off on a technicality. But you force them to lie. Who's not going to stand in front of the camera and lie when you know what's at stake? If you had 18 million sitting on the table and some guy goes, "Did you cheat?" If you say you cheat, you lose this. Oh, I didn't cheat.
Well, you lose everything.
Yeah, I didn't cheat.
If you say you cheat, you lose everything. Meanwhile,
yeah, so he got an extra year.
The new owner of the Cleveland Browns, Pilot J, they said, "Oh yeah, what we did was wildly illegal, fraudulent. But, we're going to pay you back what we stole from you with 6% non-compounded interest, and you will all go away. And we'll just keep our money and, whoops, caught me."
Yeah, does
There's a different level of penalty here, right?
Yeah.
Young athletes risk losing everything. Rich billionaires get a, "Oops, you caught me." And
crazy.
I'll pay you at 6%, and that's the only penalty I'll ever take.
Man,
for stealing hundreds of millions of dollars.
Could you build a new stadium for me too? Because, I don't make enough money. My football team's only worth $1 billion, so could you build me a stadium? I don't have the change in my pocket to build a stadium. Thanks.
Because I benefit you.
Or look at the jobs I create. Look at the job.
I think we may have gotten onto something here. It's just the penalties are so out of whack with the crimes relative to actual crimes. Hernandez's murder. This is a
fixed dog
rare
case.
Charges. No. Hernandez, if he murdered the guy, that's a real crime. How many of these people who get raked over the coals, and by these people I mean athletes, that wasn't racial specific.
No.
How many of these people get raked over the coals for pissant shit? Well, their owners engage in grotesque crimes with no penalty. It's a way of focusing society that you feel like somehow good is being protected by picking on the smallest offenders.
Well, yeah, it's the drug war in the States. You got nickel and dime weed dealers fucking stuffing the prisons full just for the illusion that they're doing something to clean it up. It's the same thing in sports. Sweep it under the rug. Get rid. Okay, test positive. Bye-bye. Get it out of the news cycle as quick as we can. Don't want that to affect the image of the league. Bye-bye.
I don't think they get it out of the news cycle. I think
do.
They like to put it there for its brief little period because then they give the perception of moral superiority.
That's what I'm saying. Basically, it's to make it look like they're doing something when they could give two fucks. Look at the money. It's all related to money. We got to make it keep our image clean. It's like Tiger Woods. I can't be out. I have to get married and look like the family man for my image.
And that's
the last thing he wanted.
Part, by the way.
No, but that's the last thing he wanted to do. But you get the pressure to do it, or the money dries up. You get to when he's 23 and not married, no big deal. When you're 30, well, we expect you to be married.
Not so much the money dries up, the flow becomes
slower,
a steady drip.
Yes. So then you can't be advertising family cars, Buick. You can't do you don't get all these higher class ads if you don't have the squeaky clean image. If we had all the advancements in technology from the 70s, every rock group would be in jail. Like, how many of these guys had meltdowns and we follow Britney Spears around until she's in the loony bin? It's not
that's
fair.
Also now because it's corporate ownership. Britney Spears is a disaster for shareholders. And then they will subsequently sue because every artist is owned by a corporation. A lot of the artists in the 70s were owned by little labels owned by crazy men who actually liked artists. You know, once it became corporate, suddenly you had the specter of the corporate lawsuit. Whereas if you don't keep your product in line, then we will sue you because that affects our earnings.
Well, and the stupid shit you read about, like they glorify that too. I love reading the biographies from bands in the 70s or artists in the 70s. The stories are fantastic. But we're creating robots in entertainment and sports. We get mad when they don't say anything, and we rip them when they do. You can't be truthful in this day and age and still be successful. Like, you look at Belichick, why do you think he doesn't say anything in a press conference? Because they're going to twist it. And they're going to use it against him. So he comes out, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, okay, thanks, guys. And they make fun of him for being so bland in a press conference. He's mastered it. Is there a shitty quote out there from Belichick other than them making fun of how bland he is? But he can't win. Because if you're colorful, you're dead. And
as corrects Ryan.
And labeled as a lunatic or eccentric or whatever other derogatory term they want to throw on you, or to ridicule you. And then, so what are you left with? You're left with guys will start turning like Belichick. That's how we're programming them to say nothing. Because the outcry is so great that they don't want to say anything because it could hurt their image or their earning potential. Or it could cost them their job. So get used to it, folks. We're in the bland era of entertainment because nobody's going to say a fucking thing.
Yeah, the musicians will break out. The comedians have already started to break out.
But nobody pays attention to them.
Probably never before the do.
Nobody pays attention to comedians.
Mainstream? They're starting to. They will.
It's got to be pretty outrageous for a comedian to get. It's got to be like Tracy Morgan going off on a homophobic rant to make news.
Well, exactly. But on the other hand, Tracy Morgan's doing well. People will start to understand that if you actually have a personality, you will do a lot better.
Yeah, but
There's no such thing as a bland comedian. Dane Cook is dead.
Charles Barkley is the last one that's given a pass for speaking his mind.
As an athlete.
Yeah.
The comedian and the musician will start breaking this. It's a cycle.
But who's putting them on? Who's putting a musician on a CD that's controversial anymore?
Well, they
won't do it.
Musicians are expected to be, but it is a wheel.
Oh, I hope you're right.
It's
been a long time.
It's a feedback wheel. And the backlash will come.
Yeah,
there's old enough to know the backlash will come.
Too much money.
And, well, the fact they've broken the distribution rights, we are going to start to see people who actually come up. With the death of television, you know, honestly, who played at the Super Bowl last year?
Baltimore, San Francisco.
No, I mean the halftime.
Beyonce.
Okay, took you 20 seconds. No one gives a fuck about these PR bullshit. Yeah,
yes,
okay,
they
10,
do. They're
maybe
still
5.
They still sell the most records, get the most clicks on YouTube, get the most downloads on iTunes.
The most clicks was Gangnam Style. Things will start to change. It just won't affect athletics.
No,
which is the most conservative aspect of our culture, period.
Well, I hope you're right. because it's sad
comedians
when
already
people
don't
can't
give a
speak.
fuck, and they found ways to get their message out, and they sell out halls, and they do podcasts, and they do a whole bunch of shit without caring about the corporate model anymore.
Well, no, because they're doing it on their own.
Exactly, and that is available to most, with the exception of athletes.
Well, they could do
Writers
it too, but
are
they can't.
doing. Well, they can't because
No, they're owned by a corporation or
they're owned by a
franchise or league.
monopolistic corporation. So yes, we're entering the bland era of sports.
We're
the
here
lack
to
of
stay.
personalities, and I cannot see a breakout there. But in most other endeavors of art and culture, I can see a breakout from this.
Oh, I hope you're right. I do. Well, do we have time to get into our other topics? Seeing we strayed away from what we planned on talking about.
We're past half an hour. Why don't we save that for the next one? It's not going
Okay.
away anyway.
No. But just as a teaser, it was going to be, this was supposed to be an HGH topic.
Well, and
podcast.
this relates. And
Yes, it does.
basically, it very much relates, and we'll deal with it in the next one. But the NFL, it relates utterly to what we were talking about. They want to pretend to protect against HGH, and they're already rigging the game. So the NFL looks pure, but it's happening anyway.
It is the dirtiest sport next to cycling. I would venture a guess. Next
I think
to
tennis
cycling,
is pretty good too, but
no, for cheats.
yeah, I think
It's
tennis
the
is up there.
Oh, well, every sport is up there.
Cycling, though, I think clearly wins, but
NFL's not far behind.
oh yeah, I mean, yeah,
And
let's.
that's just a little teaser for next. We'll have to do it next week because that's something I really want to talk about. And reading about it today, it pissed me off. Just the rhetoric that's thrown out by the league for years, and then this is how they're going to deal with it. But we'll get to that next week.
Yeah.
Because we'll do one next week because you'll be out of town after that.
Yeah, I'm off fishing.
Yeah, bitch. So we'll do that. We'll do HGH next week. We won't get off track a little bit. All right. If you want to check out our podcast, you can listen to it on iTunes. Just search Offensive Lines or go directly to our website, offensivelines.ca. You can follow us on Twitter for any updates we have on the website or podcasts or when podcasts are available. It's at Offensive Lines. Or follow us on Facebook.com/Offensive Lines. And if you want to contact the show, shoot us an email at offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon. This was Offensive Lines.
Degenerate fucking gambler.